Well, Tam Alden is a new person since moving to Panorama, so reinventing myself from being somebody who just went to an office every day, and every day I knew where I was from 6:30 in the morning until 5 at night. And now I'm somebody who is doing a multitude of things and exploring new options and opportunities. Right, yeah, it's one day I was riding my bike on the Western Chehalis Trail, and I felt like I could hardly see, and I took my glasses off and they were completely misted over because it was one of those, it wasn't really rain but enough mist. So I thought, well, I've got to take a picture of this. So I set my glasses down so that the camera was behind it, looking through the glasses with my bicycle beyond that, so people could see that, you know, this nutty person was out riding her bike in that terrible weather. And it's just nice to have different elements in the picture that combine to tell a sense of place, where it's at, weather, like it's snowing right now and raining. Well, I've always liked to make things. Even as a little kid, I always liked to create things. I was gathering giant rhubarb leaves from people. I'd say, oh, you've got rhubarb. And they say, oh, do you want to make a pie? No, I want the leaf. Set myself a goal of earning $1,000 selling leaves, these cement leaves, to donate to Doctors Without Borders. Gerda Randolph gave a class on needle felting, and so that was something I really wanted to try. And I had a lot of fun. Behind me is a kitty cat that I made doing needle felting. One year, Panorama, we hosted a recycled art fair as part of encouraging people to recycle materials more. And I was on that committee, and Karen Romanelli sent me a little picture of a book that was folded, and that just intrigued me and sent me on a whole nother path. So I folded numerous books and gave a couple classes here on it. So I love 3D, I love sculpture, but I had a great deal of fun. Pat Haas gave an introductory class on clay arts, and I discovered I could sculpt faces and was pretty good at it and had fun with that. Now I have little tree people outside my kitchen window on the pine tree. And then I discovered quilting, and that was really neat because they didn't have to fit. Quickly became disenchanted with fixed patterns and wanted to go off in my own creative imagination in creating quilts. So that's been fun. I have always loved taking pictures since I was a kid, and I had the little camera that had a roll of film that takes 12. Then digital, oh, that was just a great, I could take pictures to my heart's content and not worry, see it immediately. Instant gratification, so that was a nice. And then here, after moving to Panorama, I got just a random email advertisement for iPhone Photography Academy. Emil Pikarkalis is a gentleman in Latvia that has a fabulous online course. And though I'm notoriously frugal, I went ahead and paid for it, and it was just really so worth more than I paid for. I've learned so much. How to use the features on my cell phone. So it's fun teaching people how to use their phones for photography. Well, we'll see if we get any. So I was using burst mode, so I probably took about 100 pictures. So it's not like I was trying to specifically wait for a drop. There it goes. And I don't know if you can hear it, and you can see it's counting off how many. Took about 40 pictures. So another thing on the iPhone is burst mode, and it's a feature where you activate the shutter, and it just shoots off 100 pictures in a very short period of time. And then you can go back and select which photo best captures what you were trying to take a picture of. So I've been using that when I take a picture in the pollinator garden and I'll see a bee. And man, boy, those bumblebees, they just don't stay still very long. And so I'll go ahead and I'll find one, or I'll find a flower. They're all buzzing around, and I'll just shoot burst mode and wait for one to fly through, or catch one while it's on a flower and it'll fly off. And then I can go back, and hopefully it doesn't always work. Sometimes they're all blurry, but sometimes you get just the perfect shot. Or I've used that. We were visiting a horse farm. I captured a horse that was galloping towards me, and it's just very dynamic because its mane is flying, its tail's flying, and it just, with the burst mode, I was able to just stop it, right? I didn't have to click, click, click and hope that I would get a good picture. And I did the same thing right now. I'm having fun with raindrops. It's spraying, everything's wet and rainy, and I'm having fun with trying to catch water drops as they fall. Sometimes you get something like this, and the drop is a little bit more, and it gets really suspenseful. The next one is going to show the drop in midair, just hanging there beautifully, and not. And there are 266 photos in this particular burst. And so it's just a little tedious to go through and see if you find anything that might be interesting. You can capture a bubble that I could, do something with that one. Number one, I'll carry it with me. Since it's so small and always with me, anything that pops up on my walk, on my bicycle, out on the Chehalis Western Trail, as soon as I take an image on my phone, it's instantly in the cloud, which means it's instantly on my computer or on my iPad. So I can access it at any time and do editing on any of my devices.
What we're looking at now is Tam Alden's iPad screen.
So when I get home, I'm always excited to look at the photos. I was just really admiring this flower, and this one's just kind of isolated. It's just kind of at a perfect situation, and I was just wondering if I got down really low, if I could get a picture of that, and I was trying to see what I could have in the background. Since this is so light, could I get it in such a way at an angle that the tree would be in the background, but I don't really want the mailboxes in the background. But I can try, so I can focus on that and take a picture, and then hit the zoom lens without moving it. So this is one of the first pictures that I took when I was on my walk the other day. And on this one flower had its face shining up at me with the light behind it. It just really caught my eye. But I had a couple of things that I wanted to correct on this. The first thing I wanted to do is on the left-hand side, is just crop it, because I had wanted to get rid of the mailbox and the light post. For me, I've discovered the big drawback is not really being able to do the close-ups of birds in a distance. Really, that's pretty much the main thing, I think, is just not being able. I can do close-ups of things that I can get pretty close to, but trying to be close to something in a distance, that's the big drawback for me. On the raccoon picture, I took a wonderful picture. I'm just so pleased. And there was this little rustle in the trees, and I happened to catch this little striped face. And I looked up, and by moving down the trail, there was just a little opening in the trees where the face was just peeking out. I got the first iPhone before moving here in 2015, but didn't have a clue how to use it, other than to just pick it up and point and shoot like I would with our inexpensive little digital camera. Probably around 2017 that I really actively started creating what I would consider better quality photographs with my iPhone. I do look at the world differently. I try to look at the world from a different angle. Try to show an image from an angle that most people aren't seeing. I see things that are out of place, or a little bit unusual or out of ordinary, or a pop of color that wouldn't normally be there. But I enjoy having the light come from behind a flower. That accentuates, it makes the flower glow, and you can really see all the little striations in the petals and the details in the flower, as opposed to having the sun shining on the flower. And I enjoy creating with light, seeing where I can put the sun in the picture. So we were walking in the woods, and the sun is filtering in between the leaves. It's a little bit ethereal looking. I was really pleased with kind of a unique look I got with that. So when I'm taking a picture, a lot of times it ends up being something that is below me. Maybe a flower on the ground or mushrooms. And a lot of people will bend over and look down on that object and take a photograph. When I'm looking at it, one of the things that I realize is the background. So I want to catch the object, usually a flower or mushroom, from a different angle. I want to get down to the angle of that object, be more intimate with it as it's below the level of the object and shooting up. But I also am looking what's behind it, because so many times I've taken a picture and I just love the dewdrops and how they're dangling on. I'm thinking I captured the most wonderful picture, and then I'll look at it later and realize, oh my gosh, look at this distracting branch. When I'm down at the level of my object, I try to move the camera up, down, left, right, look behind it to see what's in the background, and hopefully focus on what's close to me, and so that the background will be blurred, and sometimes use portrait mode to achieve a better blur. But what I really don't like is afterwards noticing power lines, and that happens really frequently because the human eye, power lines and signs and different things are so ubiquitous everywhere we are. Our brain tunes them out, but they definitely show up in a photograph. So I use an app called Retouch, and so I have this picture. And with this, along the bottom, you can see there's a brush, mirror, restore, different things that you can do with this. And I use this to remove unwanted items. So using my fingers, I can just pinch on the screen and zoom in, and I'm going to remove lines. And all I have to do is put my finger on the screen, follow generally along the line, and the app will determine, it notices that there is a line there that I'm trying to remove. So along the bottom, I'll click the arrow, and I can use a clone stamp, and I can put this wherever I want it. And then where I put my finger, it will mimic that and go over, just kind of cloning and copying. I'm doing this just really quick, but you get the idea. I can zoom in and get very detailed around things. If I wanted, I could zoom in more to get rid of some different things. But the idea is that now the power lines are gone and the power pole is gone. So this is the original, with the fence between me and the horse, and also in the upper right is some fencing in the background, and Retouch just very easily took that out. And Tim and I went down to Percival Landing, and they changed the artwork out periodically there, and there was a wonderful bust of what appeared to be an African-American woman with her hair up in a braided bun, and we were taking pictures of that, and then I noticed just happened to be a gal who looked very much like the old lady in the sculpture, a young woman walking by behind. So I stood there, I used burst mode, and I just shot as she walked through the photo, and then I picked which one I liked the best that had, and yeah, that was a happy accident. And I call that picture, you know, I say happy accident, but you do need to be aware of your broader surroundings. I could have just been focused on the sculpture and just called it good, but I was looking around in the background, what would be in the background, try to have the bust over a more blank area rather than a bunch of trees or shrubs or power poles behind her. And as doing so and looking around, so I've noticed water drops. They're just little light magnets, little jewels that I'll be walking along the street, dreary rainy day maybe even, and all of a sudden there's this glint, this bright light that's just capturing, and it'll be just this little drip off the end of a leaf, and it just makes me stop, and then I'll get as close as possible, try to capture it with not too much of a distracting background, or if I can have the background behind it dark so that the light of the drip is even more dramatic. And I'll get as close as I can with my iPhone on just the regular lens. And I always like to take a picture there because you can always zoom it in post-editing. But then while I'm focused, I will also then hit my 2x lens and take another picture and just see how close I can get with that one. And so that's another thing I just enjoy on my walks. Maybe after the sprinklers have gone off or it's early morning, but there's just enough, the leaves aren't smooth like you think they are. They have little microscopic fur or that hold the water up off the leaf and cause surface tension on the little water globes. So there are these little perfect spheres that form in clusters on leaves, so that they just look like they're covered with jeweled sequins. And there again, it's really fun to see how close I can get and get down at a side angle. Don't take a picture from just up looking down, but try to look sideways and really capture the full spherical form and the upside down reflection within the water drop. Dreary, rainy, dark day, there was a gentleman that was, he had a rope and was making giant bubbles for just street and art, street entertainment. And a little boy in a yellow slicker was walking up to the bubble, and he reached up and put his finger on the bubble and it burst. Burst mode to capture the bubble burst. But I was taking a picture of these bubbles in burst mode to see if I could capture what I could find. And it just managed to capture the bubble half burst. The little boy wincing, as you know, when bubbles burst, they do set off a little bit of soap in the air, and his finger outstretched. And it was just a great shot. I've, on bright sunny days, that's wonderful. I love the sun on my face. But I actually discover that the lighting just direct on objects in the bright sun, interestingly enough, isn't as bright. The colors get kind of washed out. And so when I do take pictures of especially flowers or leaves, I like to center the sun directly behind the flower or leaf and have it shine through. But on cloudy days, it's really interesting how bright the colors are. And so I don't look at a cloudy day or a rainy day as not a good time to take pictures, because actually find more interest or trying to capture raindrops falling in puddles, and the colors of a flower just pop against the darker atmosphere. My goal for taking photos is having fun. So after I get back home from my walk or wherever I'm at, and I look at the pictures and decide which ones are keepers, and it's hard to get rid of any of them. You know, a few are obvious. They'll stay on the iCloud, in the cloud for a while, and maybe get filtered out. But some of the pictures are a quick edit. Tim, my husband, I think he was wearing a red jacket, and it just popped looking through that, and I wondered, I wonder what it would look like if I took a picture of him through this object, just experimenting. And it's not uncommon that I'll look at what I took and just delete them all. Sometimes I go out really wanting to take pictures and take pictures that I know just aren't going to be very good, but think, well, you never know, maybe when I get home it'll look good. And so I'm not terribly disappointed if I have to just delete them. One winter after it snowed, I love to go out and see. It's a surprise. It's just a gift from nature to see how the snow is settled and what you're left with. Over by the dog park, and there's a chain link fence, and the snow had settled and made kind of little heart shapes in all of the fencing, except for one that was left empty. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can use that one as a framing for the park bench in the distance. And as far as having any formal art classes or taking any art training or color theory or drawing or composition, I've not done any other than this little photography course that I took with iPhone Academy. Early on, as a child, I was told that I didn't have any artistic talent, encouraged to not feel bad about it, you know, that's just how I am, and just don't do it. and so, yeah, it's kind of interesting to wonder, I thought that you were either born with the ability to see and create or draw artistically, or you weren't. You were one of those people who couldn't do it. And I was one of the people that couldn't do it. And so it's kind of interesting. Gosh, where would I have been if I had believed that I could earlier on? You know, what could I have created? I would have to say my husband, Tim. Because from the moment just about that he first met me about 53 years ago, he thought everything I did was wonderful. And he was just always very encouraging for everything I did. So yeah, maybe Tim. Let's see, if I had to describe my art in one word, I feel like it might be diverse. There are some people who know me just as a quilter and don't know that I take photographs. And there are other people who know me just that I take photographs and don't know that I'm active in the clay art studio Or there are some people at the clay art studio who don't know, and it kind of know that I knit, or you know, it kind of goes on. So I think diverse. Well, I love teaching people. I love showing people how to. I enjoy all aspects of. I enjoy the photography. I enjoyed the book folding, the ceramics, the making cement leaves. I have so much fun doing it, and I love the outcome. And I love showing people how to do it too. And it's just delightful to have somebody say, "Oh, I didn't even know there was a focus button on my phone," and afterwards, you know, after just a little 5 minute, and they'll say, "Wow, you just changed my life with just this one thing," and I'll say, "Wait, there's more," but they're off trying their new thing that I just showed them. I think I really enjoy showing other people how to do the same thing.